You're listening to Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast on the air since 1981.
And now, here's your host.
And we're back. You know, everybody's talking about the mayoral election. We just had Curtis Lewer. We'll have the mayor on shortly. But there's another candidate running that people are not really speaking about as much as they should be, because he is a legitimate, serious candidate for the mayoralty in New York City. Attorney James Walden joins us. He's been with us once before. He's a former assistant U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of New York City. He entered private practice, been defense attorney for corporations in cases involving white-collar crime, antitrust violations, market manipulations, and he'd like to be the next mayor of New York City. Jim, thank you for joining us again.
Thank you for having me on again, Zev.
Thank you. So do you feel neglected that they're talking about the Andy Cuomo and Curtis Lewer and Eric Adams? They're not talking about you?
No. I don't feel neglected at all. Listen, I mean, I understand that I'm a new name to people, and I know I have a lot of work to do to get myself in front of as many people as possible, go out on the road. I've been doing that a lot lately, and it'll take a little time, but I think when people meet me, they see my energy, hear about my ideas, just experience my personality and my listening to people and really asking questions and caring about what people think. I'm different than the other candidates.
But are you able to get your message out there? Because we're talking about big sums of money. Cuomo spent $25 million, or the PAC spent $25 million. And it's probably going to be a lot of money in this race, too. Are you able to come up with those kinds of sums that the other candidates seem to be able to get their hands on?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've raised $3 million already. We're just at the end of a fundraising cycle. We'll probably get about another $500,000. I'm confident I'm going to be fully funded by the race. There's a lot of energy and excitement, especially now that the Democratic food fight is over. And look what that $25 million got Andrew Cuomo. So, you know, New Yorkers are savvy. They're smart. They care about who the mayor is. I think they realize that there are people that want the job for all the wrong reasons. We've seen plenty of that in the last 10 years. And I think they're going to understand someone that wants the job for the right reasons, someone that doesn't need the job, but wants the job because of his motives being good, which is to returning the city to integrity, core competence, and determination to get us back where we need to be.
So are you finding that it's resonating out there? Because it seems to be a very polarizing election. It's going to be either for Mondami or against him, right? That's what it's shaping up to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, every other candidate in the race has really high negatives. I mean, with some large constituency of New York voters. And the one great thing about being the unknown is when people get to know me, they all know that there's no negatives to have. I mean, I started, as you said, I started my career as a lawyer in the Department of Justice. I was focusing on organized crime cases. I brought down a generation of mobsters. Dealt also with high, international high-level heroin traffickers, and spared the city a lot of harm. And then even in my private practice career, I've done so many cases for so many communities in all walks of life, from the indigent to low-income housing tenants to school kids who were being bullied. I brought some really high-impact cases, not because I had to, not because I was trying to get somewhere, but because I just authentically wanted to serve. While I could have easily just made more money representing big companies and wealthy individuals, I chose a different path. So what brings me to want to run for this race is just wanting there to be someone in City Hall who's there for the right reasons, who really knows the policy issues and has real proven solutions for how to get us back on track.
Well, it sounds like a daunting task. So at the end of the day, first of all, they going to include you in any debates? I know they probably haven't scheduled any yet, or have they?
So the first one's scheduled for, I think it's September 17th on CBS, and they haven't released the criteria yet, but I'm confident that I'll be on the debate stage.
Will the contributors have a certain percentage in the polls? That's what they've done in the past.
It can be a combination of the amount of money that you spend, the number of people that signed your ballot, and some polls, but generally the polls, there's about a 5% requirement, and there have been 2 polls where I've been, depending on who was in considered the leader of the race, I was either at 6 or 7%. There was one more recent poll number where my poll numbers were lower, but that was a very small sample size. So in any event, I'm just really aggressively starting my ground game now. My first TV commercial just finished up. I've got a big digital buy, so I'll be on people's phones. And there's a lot of excitement. We have a large group of volunteers. We've got a swag wrapped van and caravan that we're driving all over the city. We went from Brooklyn to Harlem just the other day and got a lot of excitement. So we're going to get the word out. We've got a very good ground game.
We just finished, I think, a $500,000 campaign on TV, correct?
Yes.
And how did that turn out for you? You got
Great.
a lot of.
I mean, I got a lot of. It was a very clear ad that introduced me to the voters that didn't know me yet, and it was followed by a smaller digital buy, and the reception that I got was great.
Now, all the other candidates are saying to each other, Eric Adams saying to Cuomo, drop out. Everybody's telling Curtis Lee would drop out. Curtis Lee was saying to Adams, drop out. Has anybody said to you, Jim Walden, drop out?
Yeah. Well, I can't comment on the calls that I got on that front, but I'll tell you what my perspective is, which is I don't think anyone should be asked to drop out of the race at this point. However, we're going to get to a point in late September where it's going to be really clear who's caught on and who hasn't. And maybe I will have surged. Maybe I won't. We'll find out when that day comes. But there will be a day where there's 4 candidates competing against Mamdani. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I think that Mamdani is an existential threat for lots of different reasons, not the least of which is that his policies are unachievable, and they're not even the best policies for the people that he's aiming to help. So the 4 candidates, my position is we should all get on the same page as long as the Campaign Finance Board will approve it, and do our own poll, a very large poll at the end of September, the beginning of October, and basically have that be kind of an open primary, if you will, for the non-socialist, non-anti-Semitic candidates. And then if whoever is the front runner of that poll, that the other 3 people get behind that person. So it's a one-on-one race in November, which is essentially what the CFB, the Campaign Finance Board, allowed Democrats to do during the primary. I put that in writing to make it clear to people that my personal ambitions are very much in the back seat when it comes to the interests of New Yorkers. I am hoping that all of the other candidates will sign on to this, because I think it will be a big sigh of relief to everyone who is opposed to Mamdani, because I'm confident that if the 4 of us don't split the vote in November, that the more rational centrist adults will outnumber the people that want socialism and anti-Semitism and a lack of core competence in City Hall. So I'm just trying to lead the other candidates in that way. The New York Times reported that Andrew Cuomo is in favor of it. I haven't had that confirmed from him, but I'm hoping over the next couple of weeks to marshal support among the candidates so that we can have a poll in September and make this a one-on-one race between whoever the front runner is and the.
So to get it straight, what you're saying is there should be a poll depending who's going to conduct the poll. That, of course, could be an interesting issue because different polls will have different results. But what you're saying is whoever's the winner of the poll should be the one candidate, the standing bearing candidate, where all the other ones unite behind him.
Yeah, if the regulators allow us to do that. I mean, that's essentially what happened in the Democratic primary.
But that was ranked choice voting. There's no ranked choice voting in the general election.
There isn't, but the principle is the same. I mean, 3 of us are independents, although I'm the only true independent. The other 2, Adams and Cuomo, are independents by political necessity. I've been an independent candidate, an independent voter for almost 20 years now. So at least with respect to the 3 independents, if the Democrats were allowed to essentially coordinate and collaborate to essentially get Mamdani elected, I don't see why it's so different for at least the independents and the Republican as well to be able to say, listen, we're going to do our own poll, and whoever the front runner of that poll is, the other 3 are going to get behind that person and urge their supporters. Now, whether the CFB allows that to happen, I don't know. Whether or not the other candidates will agree to it, I don't know. But I wanted people to know that with respect to this candidate, I put the interests of the city, which will not be well served by a Mamdani administration. I put those interests above my own.
Now, in the primary election, we had Whitney Tilson on, who was a candidate, and he said, you know what, my numbers show that I'm not going to win. I'm going to take my campaign money and run ads against Mamdani. If there's no coalition where everybody's going to unite behind one candidate, And if you see your numbers don't add up to where you can have a path to victory, would you consider doing the same thing?
Well, I've done something better in my view, and I started already. I mean, I'm confident that I'm going to surge, but no matter what, I wanted to make sure that there was a full public accounting of everything that Zoran Mamdani said and did. And so I started, when I predicted that Mamdani was going to win, which was a couple months before the primary. I mean, it was a shock to everyone else, but it wasn't a shock to me. I started opposition research on him. It became abundantly clear that he had a long history of anti-Semitic posts. When he was a student at a college called Bowdoin, he had started an organization called Students for Justice in Palestine that in itself has links to Hamas. And so we did a very, very deep dive on all of his social media posts, and we started getting those posts out across social media so that the record is clear who we're dealing with. And so many of those posts have gotten hundreds of thousands of views, but we're getting the word out so that people understand that this is a person that has actually posted in favor of a woman who's a convicted terrorist in Israel, who was being deported by the Obama administration for lying on her immigration papers about that terrorist conviction. Mamdani was tweeting in support of her. There's a long litany of people of a similar ilk, people that called for the destruction of Israel, people who were anarchists that Mamdani tweeted in support of, either him or the organization that he founded. And there's more of that content, and we're going to be getting it out because we want everyone to know. Now,
kudos to you for getting that out. That's important.
Thank you. And unfortunately, I think that some of his kind of dyed-in-the-wool socialist supporters really don't care. And the fact that they don't care about that is crazy to me. I mean, could you imagine if there was a candidate that had posted in favor of someone from the Proud Boys or the KKK or any number of organizations that were bigoted and terrorist and violent? There would be an uproar. But at least with the core base, they don't even care that he tweeted in support of someone that had an actual terrorism conviction and killed 2 students in a grocery store with one of those bombings. It really is atrocious.
Our guest is former Assistant U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, Jim Walden. He is running for mayor of New York City, and we're going to be right back. And we'll try to squeeze in 1 or 2 of your phone calls, 212-769-1925. 212-769-1925. Email's a wonderful way to get your questions answered. Zev at TalklineNetwork.com. Coming up in a little while, Dan Perler, Senior Director of Prisma, about how there could be tuition relief, even in a place like New York. What that all means from one big, beautiful bill, he'll define that. We'll also speak to Rabbi Chaim Baruch Wexler, the Rabbi of Chaim Solomon, a nursing home in Brooklyn, where dealing with elderly patients as well as Holocaust survivors. And also tonight, David Schoen joins us. He's President Trump's former lawyer, impeachment lawyer. He also is Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer. We'll look at the whole brouhaha about Jeffrey Epstein. He says that he was not a victim of suicide, but a victim of murder. We'll talk to him about that as well. 1 week from tonight, Steve Bannon joins us live 1 week from tonight. We're going to be right back. Don't go away.
You're listening to Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast on the air since 1981.
And now, here's your host.
And we're back. Our guest is former Assistant U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, Jim Walden. He's running for mayor of New York City. Let's take one phone call. Let's go to Tim in Kew Garden Hills. Your question for our guest. Go ahead, Tim.
Yes, hi. What I wanted to say is we have an existential threat with this Marxist Mamdani. He's a complete disaster. He's dangerous not only to the Jewish community, of course, but to all of New York City. I think we need to vote for whoever has the strongest chance of defeating him. And whether that's Eric Adams or whoever it is, why should we vote for anyone else than the person who has the strongest chance of defeating this guy? We can't have a three-ring circus where every Tom, Dick, and Harry is running against him, because what's going to happen is he's going to win that way. We need to coalesce behind one person. Hopefully, I really hope that everyone else drops out and we get behind one person, whoever that is, to defeat this very, very dangerous, disgusting Marxist. Thank you.
Let Tim respond to you. Go ahead.
Hey, Tim, thanks so much for that. I guess you may have been on the phone when I was talking about this, but you and I are in violent agreement. Obviously, I think that that the candidates that are not named Mamdani deserve the right to run a competitive campaign. But I agree with you. And in fact, if you go to my website, jim4nyc.com, you'll see that I put this in writing. So there's no question about where I stand on it. Toward the end of the race in late September or early October, I'm proposing that the 4 candidates engage in a poll, and whatever the results of that poll are, my goal is that all 4 candidates will stick by it, so that the 3 that are at the losing end of the poll coalesce around the front runner at that time.
But what happens if they don't agree?
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I mean,
the chances are they're not going to agree. I mean, you said Cuomo probably, but I doubt Eric Adams or Curtis Lever is going to agree to that.
Well, listen, I'm not so sure. They're all people who love New York City, and I'm certainly hopeful that they will put their own political ambitions behind the interests of New York. I think we all are in agreement that Zoran Mamdani is an existential threat to the city for lots of different reasons, some of which Tim alluded to. But I'm still hopeful, given the fact that Cuomo, according to the New York Times, came out so quickly in support of the idea, and that it's received a lot of favorable attention and mention, even from Governor Patterson, former Governor David Patterson, that it's an idea that will take off. And I'm going to give the other candidates enough time to talk to their people. They have campaign professionals that they're working with to talk to them and hopefully come to the right decision. If they don't come to the right decision, then I'll make my own decision at the right time.
Does that answer your question? Okay.
Yeah, it does. Just a quick follow-up. Do you think the end of September is that? I fear that that's waiting too long. Perhaps that we can't even wait that long. It's just such a danger.
Well, listen, we have a long cycle ahead of us, right? And Curtis and I both have been kind of overshadowed by the Democratic primary. Neither of us got the attention that I think we both deserved during that period of time. And I think that New Yorkers also deserve the right to get to know us. But again, I agree with the ultimate point that you're making, which is, and this is why I was flexible on all of the criteria, that we have to leave enough time. So if we do the poll in late September, early October, that gives, at a minimum, a month of time for people to get around the idea. Again, assuming we get regulatory approval, get around the idea that that everyone on this side is coalescing around one candidate.
Thank you for your phone call. Are you working getting regulatory approval now?
No, I'm going to wait until I find out whether all the candidates are in agreement.
And by the way, the summer months pretty much quiet. I think the race really begins in earnest after Labor Day. That's unfortunately the cycle that we're in right now. Now, how are you reaching out for Jewish voters? What's your outreach like?
So I've already been to 2 synagogues, and I plan to go to many more. I've got lots of people that are bringing me into Jewish communities. Certainly, we're doing a very ambitious and fun citywide tour. We've got this whole caravan that's going from neighborhood to neighborhood. So I'll be in lots of places where there are big populations of Jewish voters, introducing myself and addressing their concerns and letting them know about my track record, right? Because I'm not starting from zero. I mean, I was the one that took a pro bono case to sue a school that had been involved in promoting anti-Semitism after October 7th against a teacher and against the school safety officer when the school safety officer came to her aid when students were harassing her. So there are many ways in which I've supported the Jewish community, including participation in Yad Vashem events, It's very important to me, and I think once the Jewish community really knows me, they will see that I'm a big friend and a huge supporter of Israel. That's why I put out an anti-Semitism policy as one of the first things I did, because what's been happening on college campuses is atrocious. It has to stop. Colleges and universities that are not enforcing rules against harassing, menacing, violent protesters really need city action more so than they do from Washington. And as well, we need to make more of an example against those people that are involved in hate crimes against Jewish New Yorkers. Obviously, hate crime statistics have gone through the roof with respect to the Jewish community, up 74% in the last data. And that's something that I wanted to be super clear about, so people can find that policy on my website. And I think that they'll really appreciate the thought that went into it.
One of the things that are issues that affect the Orthodox community is the role of yeshivas, where you've had, different oversight groups that looking to regulate what they teach, how they teach in yeshivas. What is your position regarding that?
So my position is the same with respect to charter schools and all parochial schools, which is they should be given a wider berth to educate their students in the way that they see fit, without the government kind of constantly telling them what to do. Now, whether it's yeshivas or it's other schools, there may be schools that are so far below performance criteria that there needs to be collaboration and cooperation. But I don't appreciate government officials basically trying to use sticks to micromanage, private schools of any kind, whether they're charter schools, parochial schools, yeshivas, or otherwise. So I want to be a mayor that works with people and doesn't use the power of government as a first instinct.
Now, one of the things that Dominique, of course, has been talking about affordability, that seems to have resonated with a certain amount of voters. And now I understand that the research has shown the anti-Semitism. I think it's important to get out, but I believe it was a poll that came out recently that showed 30% of New Yorkers believe in the slogan to globalize the Intifada, which is an anti-Semitic slogan. It's like globalizing the pogrom. It's the same thing. So the question, though, is to reach out to voters is that while it's important to highlight the anti-Semitism, I think it'd be more important to show Mamdani's position is going to corrupt New York. It's going to lead to more unemployment. It's going to lead to more taxes. It's talking about, property taxes going up. So in his scheme of soak the rich, it's going to hurt the middle class. And I think when he talks about free busing and free lunches and it's free Palestine, free unemployment, I mean, those are things that I think have to really be highlighted in order to get the message across, because it's not affordability. It's going to be unaffordability if he gets to be elected.
Well, listen, I'm confident in my own policies, and when they get out, people will see that there are better free market solutions to solving some of the affordability problems in the city of New York. So with respect to housing, I actually have a 100-page plan on my website based on all of my experience in the development community. And my goal is to lower rents. I mean, it doesn't help to freeze rents that are already too high. And across the city, there are people that are paying 30, 40, 50% of their incomes on their rent stabilized apartments. We can actually get to lower rents, and that's the goal of both my new building program and also my program with respect to existing rent stabilized tenants. Food affordability is another significant problem in the city, and part of the problem there is that transportation costs are so high. So I'm working on a plan for a blue route to bring much more in terms of quantities of fresh and packaged foods into the city, and partner with disadvantaged communities to have them run incubator projects where they can run small stores and they can make a profit and join the free market and use that as a means to lift people out of poverty.
But the rents are so high look at the small business owners. They face a lot of challenges, including taxes and high rents. So you have in New York, you have a lot of the big stores and the big banks coming in, but a lot of except in small ethnic neighborhoods like Borough Park or Flatbush, you'll find in Williamsburg, you'll find a lot of local stores. But a lot of areas have been dominated by the big chains because it's too expensive, and it's very hard for mom and pop. Even in the stores that I mentioned, like in Borough Park, very difficult for them.
Yeah, and it always makes me laugh when I hear candidates that claim to be progressive and they don't show up for small businesses. I mean, every small business needs to make a good profit, and every small business could at some point be a larger business if it's given the room to flourish. So my plan with respect to small businesses is really clear. I want to get out of their way and help lift them up, not just every once in a while when it becomes politically chic, but all the time. So I'm going to put city services, including Department of Buildings, in communities outside of Manhattan so that when there are violations, people don't have to waste an entire day standing in lines in Manhattan. I'm going to reduce the amount of regulation on small businesses. With respect to property taxes, I think I'm the only candidate that's already championed a fundamental reform so that people that are 1 or 2 family homeowners, especially in the outer boroughs, are going to see a smaller tax bill. And wealthier apartments will see, an incrementally larger tax bill to try to equalize the burden, because there's way too much burden on smaller working class and lower class families. So in a lot of different ways, having grown up the way I did, which is very challenged, economically deprived, a lot of disruption, I care about this. I lived through my own affordability crisis when I was growing up and into my young adulthood. So I've lived that experience. I know
Mamdani, who claims that he comes from a disadvantaged background, but he comes from a very affluent, very successful family. So
yeah, I think that he's cute on that. I don't think he's ever said he's disadvantaged, but certainly his parents are wealthy and successful, which makes him an odd socialist. But the truth of the matter is, I was the one that slept on a floor for a year while I was trying to find my way. I worked every odd job that you can imagine to try to make ends meet. So having had that experience and now lived the American dream, I want everyone to have the American dream. I believe in America. I'm a proud patriot. I'm not the one saying that, the United States is an unfinished experiment. I believe that there's beauty in the United States, and that we've created more value and more innovation for the world than many countries combined. So I'm very proud to support small businesses, and I plan to be a small business mayor through and through.
I want to thank you for joining us. Final question. I got a pledge from Curtis Sliwa. Eventually, I won from Mayor Eric Adams, too. If elected, or in his case, reelected, that there'll be a Glock Kosher Kitchen in Gracie Mansion. Will you, the same pledge? Okay.
Yes, I'll make that pledge.
Yeah, that's an easy one, right?
That's an easy one.
But listen, Jim Walden, thank you for being with us. Look forward to having you back.
Thank you so much. Thanks for everyone.
Thank you. There you have it. The Jim Walden, candidate for mayor of New York City, and we'll make it a more interesting